How's it going? Fox back again with another Access Virus TI tutorial, this time for sound design tutorials. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can use the Arpeggiator within the Virus TI to create a Trancegate effect. I'll just show you this MIDI clip quick before I play the tune so you can see what we've got going on. It's just a basic chord progression, nothing too stressful, real simple. You see it in trance and all of the dance music all the time. So as you can see, there's no stutter in there, no gated effect or anything like that. I've got nothing on the Virus channel itself creating a gate. I'll just show you that, it's all clear. How we get this gating effect, which we're going to go through later, is with the Arpeggiator. So yeah, I'll play the sound through on its own quick, and then we'll get down to how we make it. So yeah, there you have it, nice trance-gated chord structure. So yeah, what I was doing there, I was just playing around bringing out these notes, and now I'll explain to you what that does later on. And the note length controls the length of the Trancegate, as you would imagine. So yeah, we'll go ahead and initiate a patch. I'll show you how to make this sound that I did with the Trancegate effect as well, while we're here. As I say, I only really wanted to show you how you can use the app to do this, but I might as well show you how to make the sound while we're here. So yeah, oscillator 1 I had as a hyper saw, pushed it all the way around to get as many saws as we can, and I'll detune this to about 64. Push the semitone up 1 octave to plus 12. Everything else for this oscillator I kept the same. Oscillator 2, I used something a bit different. I haven't shown these grain simple or grain complex ones yet. I'll be going over them more a bit thorough in the next few tutorials. I've been using them to make some neuro basses. They're really good, the grain ones, but for today I'm going to be showing you a 4-mant simple one, and it is plain saw. I pulled the detune down slightly from its original position to about 9 o'clock. Pushed this one up 1 octave as well, 12 semitones. 4-mant shift. I pulled this all the way around to nothing. Well, not nothing, as far left as it can go. This seems to spread to the lower end of the spectrum, make it deeper. I'll show you it. I'll play it and then I'll pull this round. Just get rid of these drums quick. So yeah, look, I'm playing that now, you can hardly hear it. As you bring it round to the left, it spreads the formants. It seems to push the formants to the lower end of the spectrum, makes it sound a lot lower. It's both two oscillators together, nothing else. Pull this wavetable on the formant simple back to about 12, 13. Third oscillator, I added another saw just to beef it up. This time I kept this one where it was, didn't push it up 1 octave. Pulled the detune down ever so slightly to about minus 39, minus 40. Set the unison to twin just to, I say beef it up all the time, but that's exactly what it does. It just makes it a bit thicker. Push the detune up to about 50. We're going to pan these new unison voices round to about 28%. And LFO phase offset about minus 41. Keep the punch, the noise colour where it is. We are going to use some noise later on. So 3 oscillators. I'm going to bring a sub oscillator in now. And just push the volume of oscillator 3 up to about 3/4 of the way. So a little bit of noise, about 1/4 of the way. Ring modulation as well, about the same as the noise. Go heavy with this ring modulation, it starts to distort. We don't really need that. We don't really need that distortion of the ring modulator because in the effects section later on I use frequency shifter, which is a basic form of not a basic, a more advanced form of ring modulation, and I use some distortion as well. So the only other thing we need to do with the oscillator section is change the FM mode to phase mod, push the FM amount round to about 9 o'clock, and I'm going to dial some of this envelope in negative. About 10 o'clock for the envelope as well. So don't sync the two oscillators, we want to keep them separate. Keep the phase in it, velocity to pulse width and portamento all where they are, we don't need to do anything with them. The only thing I did do actually, which I didn't say with this one, is push the interpolation around to about 10 o'clock. So yeah, that's it for the oscillator section. We're going to go to the ARP section now, so I can show you how to do this Trancegate. So yeah, again, the 3 oscillators and everything in. Nice and smooth at the minute. So this is how we're going to get the Trancegate effect. We need to set this to chord because obviously we're playing a chord on the ARP. When I do this, I always pull this all the way down so it's just 4 steps. So pull this blue side of sound so it's just 4 steps. That means it's going to repeat these 4 steps over and over and over. We only need to use the first 3. This is what gives it the steppy effect. The first 2, pretty much leave them exactly where they are. This doesn't really matter, the volume, because we're just using it to... It's hard to explain really. The gap between these boxes is giving us the gaps which creates this Trancegate effect. So we want 2 short ones, and then we'll stretch this the third note out so it's got the same gap between it and the end as these 2. So yeah, octave range is 1, keep the resolution 1/16 because we don't want it to pitch the notes up any. See what I mean? If you choose it to go up 2 octaves or 3 octaves, then it starts pitching the notes up, which we don't want. We want to keep it nice and smooth as it is. So yeah, keep the pattern on user, obviously, because we're designing it ourselves. And this note length is how you change the length of the Trancegate. If you push it out, the notes get longer. Pull it to the left, the notes get shorter. I find having it just before dead centre, slightly to the left, gives it a nice gated effect. Sometimes you get a little bit of a click, but that's what I was doing earlier in the filter section. Just back the attack off slightly, give it a tiny little bit of release. That should stop any clicking. It's easy enough to find that happy medium. It's either one or the other that gives you a click. It's either starting too quickly, or it's not. The notes aren't having time enough to tail off before it starts another one, so they overlap. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I went to the common section and I assigned soft knob 1 to the ARP note length. So you've got control on your virus of this note length if you wanted to do any automation and that. Sometimes when you come to the end of a 16th bar, you can like fuzz it out so the notes get longer. Dial this first note round now. You can hear the notes getting longer. And back shorter. Another thing you can do with this as well is if you bring the 4th step in just by clicking it towards the end of the... This is 4-bar loop I've got here. If you click the 4th note in, the note that we're not using in towards the end of the bar, it gives a nice little fill as well. Click it at the end to show you. Gives a nice sort of feathery feel to the end. I wish there was a way that you could push these in and out with either a button on the virus or within Ableton. Unfortunately, I've just tried to do that within Ableton itself, and these don't come up. They don't transmit any MIDI notes or CC values, so you can't, unfortunately. It'd be great to have that at a button, so when you were playing, you could press that in and it do the little fill at the end of the sound for you. will be a good virus. Take heed access. I'll be sending that in an email along with all my other suggestions for the next update. So we'll go and sort the filters out now quickly. They're both low pass. Don't engage analog mode. I don't use any envelope or nothing like that. Push them both out to, well, the first one to 127. The second one out to plus 62. Push the saturation up to just above the U. And the saturation I used is a rate and follow. Sounds real fuzzy as it is at the minute, but we're going to change this to a split now, which helps it be a lot more clearer. It shows you in here what it does. It means oscillator 1 and sub-oscillator go through this first filter, which is a 2-pole, and then oscillator 2 and the noise go through the second one, which is a low pole. So you can have individual control over each oscillator with each filter. So yeah, it gives you a nice even tone if you split it as well, with slightly different cut-offs on the filters. That's it for the filter section. As I say, I didn't touch anything. I tried giving it a bit of envelope and that, and it didn't really make any difference to the sound, so I kept it as it was. The only thing I did with the amp envelope, just bring the sustain level down to about 12 o'clock, about decay off to about 1 o'clock. And as I say, we've already given it that little bit of release to stop the clicking, so that's it for the filter section. Right, now we need to go on to the effects section. Let's say FX1 first. I use quite a lot of effects to make the sound a bit fuller. I always tend to find myself using a lot because there's that many to choose from on the virus. You just find yourself using them even if you don't need them sometimes. But this did help. The analog boost helps richen any sound up. I always use it. I love it. I don't really bother with any of these other ones. The only one I use sometimes is a speaker cabinet. It can really gritty up bass lines. So the pad opener doesn't really do much, and the bass enhancer definitely does not enhance bass. It dulls it, if anything. I don't even know why they put it in there and called it that. But yeah, analog boost, bit of analog distortion is lovely. The distortion I use is a Saffron overdrive. In the manual they describe this as the grungy one, which would make you think it would be really harsh and that, but I prefer it to most of them because you can still dial it in with a tone. So yeah, it's pretty much my favourite one. This is what I did. Tiny bit of mix, 12.5%, drive around to about 22%, tone just above the lows, aiming at the mids maybe, 57%, high cut where it is. So analog boost and a bit of distortion. No chorus. I used a phaser. You could probably tell that when you heard it to start with. Only a 2-pole phaser, and the rate is quite slow. So over this 4 bar, it's probably only going to do 1 cycle, but it's a real nice effect to have that running for a sort of Trancegate sound. Frequency, push it around to about 75. Feedback where it is, spread back to about 80. As I say, pull the rate right down to about 11, 10 or 11. Pull the depth off as well. We don't want it to be too severe. We just want it to ride along with the chord progression that we got. So yeah, phaser on. Maybe a little bit faster on the rate. We want it to be peaking about halfway through the 4 bar loop and then coming back down again. Yeah, perfect. That's about 18 on the rate for the phaser. Filter bank I used a frequency shifter. So this is a drastic effect. I always say be wary of this when you use it, but that's why I've only used the mix about 11-12%. The frequency I push around. That was lucky. That took me ages to get that last time. You have to sort of play with it until you hear it fit with what's going on. That's -40. fader set up and the analog boost. You really need to play with that finely until you get exact where you want it. Stereo phase, about +11. Push to shape both of these up to about 9 o'clock. Pull the frequency shift in and out, does make a real difference. It gives a nice tinny underline to the sound. Love it. Love the frequency shifter if done right. I say it's hard sometimes to get it to sit well if you use it, but it's all about the frequency knob. You need to dial it in exactly so where it sits well within your track. So I boosted the lows a bit, and the mids, and the highs. Mids and the highs the same, about +6 dB, and the lows about +2. So yeah, FX2 now. All I used was a tiny bit of reverb. Pushed it round to about -15.8. For some reason, even if you're a knitter patch, it always keeps these dials on what you had them before, which is handy for me when I'm doing tutorials. Pull the decay back to about 30. Push the damping round to about 40%. We want it to be affecting the mids and the highs, not the lows. Colour, no, I didn't use any pre-delay. I tried it with it and then turned it off, so you can keep them exactly how it is. So yeah, that's it. That is the sound done. So yeah, I'll play it through with this little beat that I've made. Nothing straightforward. Couple of well, it's all Vengeance samples, a Vengeance loop, bit of percussion that I did with sampler and a percussion hit from the Vengeance library, which you can't even hear for some reason. That's because I've got the drums muted, dopey. Yeah, this is just a little percussion hit that I did with some ping pong on. There it is, Trancegate effect using the Arpeggiator on the Access Virus TI. I will just quickly say, I had somebody ask me the other day, who would I recommend the Virus to, or is it worth the money? It's hard to say if it's worth the money, because it is worth the money, but to some people it might not be. In my eyes, I would recommend this to anybody. I mean, I've been using the Virus for 2 or 3 years now, and I'm still learning stuff every time I use it. You can use it to make any style of music. I mean, obviously it is not designed, but it is famous for trance. But yeah, I mean, I've been using these, as I said earlier, I've been using these formant complex wave tables to make some really nasty growl sounds. See if I've got one in here quick just to show you. I've been shuffling all my libraries around. I'll have to show you on another tutorial anyway, but my simple answer is yes, I would recommend the Virus to anybody. If you've got enough money, save up, get a Snow off eBay, you can get one, 5.5, 600 quid. You will never ever ever get rid of it, and in all honesty, you could use it for every single synth sound that you need in any track. So yeah, save up, get a Virus. Anyway, thanks for that. Thanks for watching again. Trancegate sound using the app on a Virus. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel up here if you enjoyed this. Our Facebook and Google Plus pages is sound design tutorials. Okay, thanks again. Cheers.